This is Lynette Sayers, and Lynette's part of the BEL Group. She's in charge of the calf rearing for the BEL Group. And last year, Lynette decided, and her team decided, to put in a CalfExpert. Lynette, how many farms has the group got?
We carved down 3 in the autumn and 7 in the spring.
So 10 farms altogether?
Yep.
How many cows are you running in the whole group?
Overall, we carved down roughly 10,000.
10,000 cows?
Yeah.
So we're in the central Hawke's Bay of New Zealand, which is kind of an hour south of Napier.
Yep.
About that. So a beautiful country. We've got the hills behind it, summer safe country. Normally rains.
Yeah, normally rains.
Normally rains. And then we've got all the grapes growing in the Hawke's Bay, and apples and fruit. But this is, it was a dry stock area now, but there's quite a few dairy farms.
Yeah.
And
because of the hills, it is pretty summer safe, and we usually get on average 600 to 1,200 mils of rain each year.
Okay.
Which is pretty good.
Now, how many calves? You bought this CalfExpert last year.
Yeah.
You've got a couple of vats here for your milk, so you take one vat down every day, and you clean it.
Yep.
And then you have the other vat ready to go.
Yep.
Okay. So that's your milk supply system. You've got 4 feeders, and you're using milk powder as well at some stage? Or?
No, we've only put whole milk through it so far.
Okay. And how many calves did you rear through this facility?
We put 198.
198.
Through this in the spring.
Yes. And out of that, so there's roughly how many calves reared on the whole farm, replacements?
I think it's about 1,200.
About 1,200?
Yeah.
Okay. So you did 198 here, and so let's say 1,000 were done manually?
Yep.
Now, where are they done? On each farm or on a special farm?
They were mostly done on the farms that they were born on.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so, first time user of the machine last year?
Yeah.
Tell us about your thoughts on it.
It was great. We had a few technical issues in the beginning, but that was just a settling in process for the machines, really.
Yes.
Overall, I thought it was fantastic. We got great results from the calves in regards to what was reared on the farms in here. They reared faster. We managed to rear the heifers here on the machine within about 74 to 80 days, whereas the calves outside on the cafeteria, we reared on average of 115 days to a 90 kilos.
So let's just double. So between 74 to 80 days here,
yep,
the calves were at target weight.
Yep.
What was your target weight?
Our target weight was 90 kilos.
So 90 kilogram. Are these Friesian animals or Jersey? Or?
They're predominantly Friesians, but there were some crossbreds.
So they're predominantly Friesians. 90 kilograms was the target weight.
Yeah.
And you're doing it between 74 to 80 days. So let's say that's, what do we call that, 77 days?
Yeah.
As an average. And you're saying 115 days manually.
Yeah.
That's extraordinary.
Yeah.
Do the owners of the farm know that? The data?
We also put together a cost difference of what it was going to cost to rear them on here versus outside.
So what's the cost made up of? Wages and food?
Yeah.
Okay, nothing else, no vet bills, just the wages.
Just the wages and food.
And the food.
Yeah.
And do you remember that number?
I think for here it was roughly $380 per animal, and if I can remember correctly, I think it was about $540 outside.
That's extraordinary.
Yeah.
It's huge.
Yeah.
Well, you're a big operator.
Yeah.
That's a lot of numbers.
It's definitely saved staffing. Like we had a staffing issue here,
right.
Not being able to find staff, and with doing this, 2 of us could run it quite easily.
2 of you are running a facility with 198 calves.
Yeah.
Up to for the season.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now tell me about your policy. You work for a very big company.
Yeah.
So you're not here all day.
No.
What is you're doing other work on other farms?
Yeah. Yep.
So you're visiting here
We try and only visit here once a day and check in the afternoon before we go.
Yes.
Only because we have to be on, for this autumn, we have to be on 3 other farms twice a day.
Right.
And then also this year we're going to be rearing bulls, so that adds in a 4th farm
Okay.
that we also need to be going and feeding calves at.
And is this an encouragement to staff?
It
like,
is.
Do people like the technology?
I think they do, yes. Yeah, they find it really interesting and actually trying to keep people away was probably the biggest issue.
Yeah.
Because they'd come in and then they'd interfere with the calves in the stalls and things like
Yes.
that. So
Now, last year I was here and there was a whole lot of calves lining up for a feed, and you said to me, oh, they only play up when we're here.
yeah,
Now, I think that's important for us to talk about, because when you go away and you watch on your phone, they're better behaved.
they are. It's very orderly.
So when Mum's here, when Mummy turns up,
Yeah,
They
I
all-
think what happened is because it was so new and so interesting, everyone wanted to come and see it.
Yeah.
And in the beginning, that was great, but they would see someone in the stall that had finished and they'd kick them out.
Yes.
And allow the next calf to come in. Right. So what it did is it created in the calf's mind that when someone turned up, a stall was going to be made available for them.
right. So a behavioural issue.
Yeah, so then they'd hear you turn up in the vehicle or see you in here, and they'd all actually come in from outside. So we had to try and limit the amount of people that visited.
Right. What's your favourite part about the system?
The better animals.
Okay. Now tell me about that. Because if you're getting animals to weaning weight
Faster.
in 77 days versus 115 days, same target weight,
Yeah.
that means you must have better animals, because if an animal grows quicker, it must be healthier.
It's not even that. It's even just the overall condition.
Tell me.
Being able to be fed on this system and probably more regularly than what they are outside, because we only have a limited amount of hours in a day to feed everything outside. What I've noticed is just the top line of the animals is better on the robotics, and they don't get that potty look in the stomach just from having to try and force in 5 litres a day once a day. And this, because they're not filling up so much, it actually encourages them to go out onto the meal and onto the hay and onto
forage.
the grass.
Yeah, so you've got grass out here.
Yep.
And you're lining up for autumn now. So this is New Zealand. We've had our summer and we're just starting autumn. Yeah, there's plenty of grass. And so you're teaching the animal to get used to grass early.
Yep.
So what age will they be able to get some grass? How many weeks will you keep them in here without grass?
Maybe a week or 2.
Wow.
Yeah, we open the gates as soon as we can.
Okay.
Yeah, as soon as they can show me that they are independently feeding,
Yeah.
they can come back.
Yeah. And they come back no trouble?
Yep. Yeah.
And training them no trouble? Have you found them pretty good to train?
Yeah, no, it was all pretty good. The way we've got it set up, they come into the stall first, and then we introduce them to the feeder, and then as long as they can show me that they can feed twice independently, then we just let them continue on to the more open spaces.